Broward County School District has a math problem to solve, but calculating the answer involves more than hard numbers. The district enrollment has declined, and the plan is to close and repurpose at least 5 schools, maybe more. But which? And how will that impact the communities, for better or worse? That's all in the detail. Superintendent Peter Licata with us live today to get into some of that detail. Superintendent, great to have you aboard.
Thank you for having us again. I'm sorry I'm not down there, but I really appreciate you giving us the time to talk about some of the things we have to get done.
Your voice, your brain, and your face, and we're all good. So this week, this is really important to so many families, and you went to the community this week to get a little bit of input. What did you learn?
So what I learned quickly is there's a trust problem. Our customers in the Broward County, some of them have a trust problem, and I don't blame them. Over the past few years, they've struggled with trusting what comes out of the school district and the product. What we're saying is not always what we're doing, and that's turned around a lot. It's turned around quite a bit, actually, but it's just not going to happen overnight. But it was good to hear some of the things that we can actually change and actually fix. Now, remember, we're not trying to close schools. We're trying to avoid doing that. So we're going to look at every other option first, programming, and maybe add K-8 or multiple options. But that's what we need to hear from our community. And I promised, and I said it, and I mean it, we're talking to them first. There is no preset determination on what schools. There's nothing out there that says that. We do have a report of all our under-enrolled schools, which is something we have to do every year, but it gives you a good idea of how under-enrolled we are. We're about 50,000 seats short right now.
So tell me about this under-enrollment, because I looked up some Florida Department of Education stats, and it says Broward from last year is down 3,300 plus students. But the surrounding counties are up. Miami-Dade is up almost 1,800, and Palm Beach County schools are up 831 students. Right. Why is there a lower enrollment? And universal vouchers just started, and that would be sort of like the natural thing to think. But this has been a decline over a period of a decade or more, so that can't be it. So why?
No, it has something to do with it recently, and I believe our surrounding counties might be a little bit more if they didn't have the vouchers. However, Broward's unique. Broward is very unique. The families are moving out because Broward is a vertical county. The people moving in are moving in vertically, and you can see by the high rises being built, it's almost out of property in most of the eastern and central portion of it. So when the families move out, there's not families with school-age children moving in. It's the most diverse county in the entire state. It's a very, very eclectic but happening place. It's a beautiful. I'm up here in Delray for the last 2 weeks as I'm moving back to Broward and Fort Lauderdale, my hometown, next week. But there's a lot of folks moving there that don't have school-age childcare. So there's multiple things there. I also have to look at what we're doing programmatically. Sometimes our programs don't fit. There's not a good sequence. And we have a few schools out there that have wait lists. And why aren't we doing more of that? Why aren't we replicating them? So before we start just shutting schools down, we got to hear from the customers. And they've said the same thing. I really would like to get into this school, but there's a wait list. So I don't want to get in the wait list there. I walked into a classroom at Pompano Beach High the other day, and I walked in and I had the 10th graders raise their hand. If they didn't get into Pompano, would they have gone to a private school? And half the classroom raised their hand. So to me, that means we're doing the right things, but we need to do more of it to capture all our students, because we still believe we put out the best product.
And so even if some schools really are a draw, I mean, people want to go to schools in their neighborhoods where their friends are, where they can go out and go on a play date or whatever they call them these days. So that's got to be a consideration in neighborhoods, right?
Yeah, my experience with that is making sure there's enough of those desired programs, and not every school can be full choice, but desired programs that students want to go to. Medical programs are huge right now. Students want the medical programs all over. Engineering's big. Computer science is huge. So we need to start considering what we're doing in all our local schools, because those are actually qualities. Computer science is not something out of the box. I mean, it's within so many professions now. Our technical centers are full, and they're doing really well, and they're the top 100 schools in the state. So we really have to start thinking, can we proliferate these programs a little bit more before we start looking at closing schools? Because that is the last option. It truly is the last option. So we need to do everything up to that point before we have to make those financial decisions.
Even though the land under a school may be more and more valuable for something like real estate or even affordable housing?
So we have an obligation as a community and as an organization that's predicated on taxpayer dollars is to look at our excess properties and think about affordable housing for our entire staff, So we got to look at that. I'm in the works with a couple different agencies, the Urban League and housing authorities. We're trying to work on that as well because we do have an obligation. We also have some prime real estate that may eventually become available simply because there's just not enough students. We're not going to recapture 50,000 students because there's not 50,000 students out there, but we're going to recapture what we can. And we're also going to look at how can we be better fiscally, because if we're paying for students that we don't have, and that's what we're doing right now, then we can't offer what we need to for the students we do have, especially our staff members in the form of wages, because now we're spending money on buildings that maybe are 35% full or 40% full, and that is highly, highly costly.
All right, a little subject switch here before I let you go. This week in Miami-Dade County Local 10 and my colleague Hatzel Vela had been reporting on permission slips that now are needed in Miami-Dade County for any student to go to a Black History Month event. That caused quite the stir as a new permission slip. But what the district in Miami-Dade is saying is they're just trying not to run afoul of what actually to them is a vague state law. And I wonder how Broward County might be handling the same.
Well, let's first talk about Hatzel. Hatzel was in that classroom with me the other day, and he looked at me and shook his head when I asked that question for those students. And he's an awesome guy, but he did get to see firsthand what it's like. Now, about that permission slip, we spoke with the state on Thursday, I believe, and we certainly want to be in compliance as well. So there is a broad interpretation of it. There's the state's interpretation on what they really want, but we're going to follow suit with and keep in line with Palm Beach and Dade because they're very similar. So we're going to continue doing that the same way. We don't want to violate the law. It's what we have to do. We want to make sure that parents know where their children are going during the school day. And as a former principal, I get it. I do understand some of this. I do understand that some folks come on campus that the family may be opposed to. So I think better communication up front would probably be even better to say, hey, these are the organizations that are going to be there. You don't have to attend if you object to going there, but here's the permission slip as well. And if you can do it before school in a calendar of events for these parents, it'd be much easier as well, rather than waiting for the last week.
An interesting spin on what is certain to remain a controversial subject, and maybe another look at that law, but that's to come. Superintendent Peter Licata from Broward, thank you so much for sparing us a little of your Sunday.
Thank you again.